die, 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 yai, die, 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 da, da, die, 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 yai, die, 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 yai, die, ya, da, 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 die, 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 yai, die, 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 yai, die, ya, da, 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 die, 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 yai, die, 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 yai, die, 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 ya, da, die, 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 yai, die, 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 yai, die, 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 da, da, die, 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 yai, die, 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 yai, die, ya, da, 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 die, 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 yai, die, 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 yai, die, ya, da, 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 die, 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 yai, die, 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 yai, die, 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 da, da, die, 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 yai, die, 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 yai, die, 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 da, da, die, 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 yai, da, da, die, yai, die, ya, da, 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 die, 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 yai, die, 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 yai, die, ya, da, 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 die, 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 yai, die, 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 yai, die, 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 da, da, die, 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 yai, die, 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 yai, die, 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 da, da, die, 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 yai, die, die, die.
Shabbat Shalom. Very nice to see you tonight on this weird weather, windy night. I do want you to note that even though it was not on the calendar, there is Torah study tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, strictly on Zoom. So do not show up at the temple. The link was sent out in the e-blast this afternoon. Also, as a reminder, Brotherhood is having their Dine Out Wednesday at our favorite place, Silver Palace, Chinese food. If you still don't feel safe going out to eat, remember you can always order it for takeout. These are always nice fundraisers, and they all share the Safety and Security Committee. Although we are in what is deemed to be a low-risk area, we still need to be aware of any potential threats. Sorry, my writing is not so great. We are in need of volunteers to act as ushers and screeners for Shabbat services. If we can get enough of you to volunteer, it will only involve perhaps every 4 to 6 weeks. If you're interested in serving us that way, please contact Harry and let him know. What happened in Colleyville, Texas last Shabbat was a reminder to us all. Yesterday, Harry and I attended a webinar along with some 800 plus people across the country regarding preparedness for such an event. TBO has already taken a number of the recommended actions. The temple in Colleyville had undergone active threat training, which enabled them to put in action what they had learned. We had planned to actively train our congregation as well, but unfortunately, the shutdown for COVID derailed our plans. Once it is safe to fully reopen and people feel comfortable returning, we will schedule not only threat response training, but basic first aid as well. There are organizations that offer this training free of charge, and Harry and I have signed up for a webinar they are offering next week. And as a reminder, I think most of you know that our emergency exit is right here behind Ray, and also through the social hall when we have more people in the sanctuary. The point of this is to reassure you, not frighten you. We are fairly well prepared for an emergency situation, but know we can do more. and are arranging for more training. Again, we're not in a high-risk area, but neither was Colleyville, and so we must be prepared. So I don't want you to be frightened, but it's always good to be prepared. And with that, I wish you a good, safe, and healthy Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Dina, and thank you for sharing those words with us. Indeed, we are not here to be frightened, but to be aware. There is a difference. Situational awareness is an important aspect in all of our lives, and so we are grateful for the opportunity to gather together and to gather in our virtual space on this particular Shabbat here in the middle of January 2022. Hard to believe. For those of you viewing from home, I invite you to set aside some candles, pour yourself a glass of juice or wine or your other favorite Shabbat beverage, so that we might, when we share our Kiddush, be able to sanctify our time, be it in all of our different spaces. In addition to the announcements you heard, we have Shabbat greetings from Jeff and Wilma Shear and the Mignella family. Thank you very much, Mignella family, and Jeff and Wilma, for your continued support of our Shabbat greeting fundraiser, giving us the opportunity to reach out as individuals to our community, as well as help raise a little bit of money for Temple Bethel. Temple Bethor, Temple Bethel. Too many temples floating through my mind. I've been in conversation with many of my colleagues in various temples, Beth this and Beth that, so I apologize. I know where I am. I'm at Temple Bethor, the House of Light. In addition, our flowers this evening, sponsored by Sheila Craven. And Sheila, they are beautiful flowers in memory of your husband, Dwayne Craven. Thank you for sponsoring our flowers this evening and bringing us some beauty here during our Shabbat. We have a chance to welcome these beautiful flowers and, more importantly, to celebrate the memory of Dwayne, his sense of humor, his outgoing spirit, and, of course, his love of the outdoors, as you can see by the picture. Let us take a moment to perhaps maybe catch our breaths as we gather on this Shabbat. Yes, it's been a very trying and bizarre week for our people. We are certainly no strangers to what has occurred last week, and yet when it occurs, it still shakes us to our core. And yet it's important to recognize that although we live in a world where there are those who choose to hate us, we live in a world today where there are those who choose to support us. And during this past week, we have received many messages, including myself, from various members of our community, from Pastor Paige Eves and the La Mirada Methodist Church, from Pastor Jack Miranda, as well as others who expressed their concern, from city council members. And so I am grateful to the support of our broader community, who recognizes that the threat that we have endured is not only a threat against Jews, but it is a threat against all free people, to be able to worship, to be able to gather in freedom and in peace. And so we take this moment to acknowledge with gratitude the support that has been expressed to the Jewish community throughout our nation and indeed throughout the world, and our hopes that such statements of affirmation and support will soon no longer be necessary, because acts of violence and terror will likewise fall by the wayside. We are here together as one, both in our physical spaces and in our virtual space. One people, one community. We've joined to share in this treasured moment together as we transition from the hectic demands of life and of daily routines. We are invited to leave the week behind. Let go of what has been. Let go of what will be and enter into a place of stillness, a sacred space and a sacred time. Breathe in the calm of evening and pause. Breathe out the stresses of the week. Breathe in the calm of nightfall and pause. Breathe out and feel a sense of release. Breathe in the radiance of the moon and the stars and pause. Breathe out the thoughts of doing and become one with this present moment. Feel the warmth of relaxation wash over you. Breathe in the radiant light and pause. Feel your mind becoming open and unfettered. Breathe out and feel your soul become freed to soar to new heights. Breathe in the calm and pause. Feel yourself surrender. Breathe out everything and focus only on now. And feel your body, your mind, and your soul become whole and at peace. Now we are finally ready to graciously accept this present from our loving Creator, to embrace God's gift of rest and rejuvenation, to turn our complete attention towards Shabbat and to savor all that Shabbat provides and become enveloped by holiness. As we breathe in and out once more, we pause and welcome Shabbat.
מלכי המלכים, הקדוש, הקדוש ברוך הוא. מי מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש, הקדוש ברוך הוא. מי מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש, הקדוש ברוך הוא. בואכם לשלום מלאכי השלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי העליון. מי מלך מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש, הקדוש ברוך הוא. פרחוני לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי היום, מי מלך, מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש, הקדוש ברוך מלאכי השלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי היום, מלך, מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש, הקדוש ברוך הוא. הקדוש ברוך הוא, מי מלך, מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Light a candle, drink wine. Softly the Sabbath has plucked the sinking sun. Slowly the Sabbath descends, the rose of heaven in her hand. How can the Sabbath plant a huge and shining flower in a blind and narrow heart? How can the Sabbath plant the bud of angels in a heart of raving flesh? Can the rose of eternity grow in an age enslaved to death? Light a candle, drink wine. Slowly the Sabbath descends. Are in her hand the flower, and in her hand the sinking sun. We continue as we welcome Shabbat with the lighting of our Shabbat candles, as I invite Deborah Goldfarb to join us on the bima in the lighting of our Shabbat candles.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, source of all being, who calls us to holy acts through mitzvot and inspires us to kindle these lights of Shabbat.
אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת.
We prepare for our Kiddush. opportunity to express gratitude for the joys that have been mingled with us during this past week, as well as to acknowledge the joy of being able to gather on this Shabbat. With the words of our Kiddush, we sanctify this great day.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher knishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lemasei v'reishit ki hu yom tefila lemikrahei kodesh zeichel yitziat mitzrayim kivanu v'acharata ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchalatanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat.
L'chaim, Ray.
L'chaim.
Prayer is not purely an act. All things pray, and all things pour forth their souls. The heavens pray, the earth prays every creature and every living thing. Creation is itself but a longing, a kind of prayer to the Almighty. What are the clouds, the rising and the setting of the sun, the soft radiance of the moon and the gentleness of the night? What are the flashes of the human mind and the storms of the human heart? They are all prayers, the wordless outpouring of the boundless longing for God. We continue with the words of our Baruch Hu, our call to worship. I invite us to rise as we are able. We may be seated. It is evening. The children slowly dream away the storms of the day. It is evening, and stars glow gently in the quiet heavens. Can we understand a dream? Find a net to capture the meaning of a glowing star? What bridge spans the vast space we must cross to reach understanding? And how small are we who attempt the journey? And yet somehow we learn to find our glory in a brave and endless struggle to comprehend eternal mysteries. We are voyagers in an infinite sea, our destination always beyond the horizon. But we are voyagers. Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv haravim.
Ahavat olam beit Yisrael amecha ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta. Alekein Adonai Eloheinu b'shach beinu v'kumeinu nasiach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki heim chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem negeh yomam v'layla ki heim chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem negeh yomam v'layla ve'avatecha al tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael.
I invite us to rise as we are able. Praise me, says God, and I will know that you love me. Curse me, says God, and I will know that you love me. Praise me or curse me, and I will know that you love me. Sing out your graces, says God. Raise your fist against me and criticize, says God. Sing your graces or criticize. Criticizing is also a kind of praise, says God. But if you sit fenced off in your apathy, says God, if you look at the stars and yawn, if you see suffering and do not cry out, if you do not praise and you do not criticize, if you do nothing, then I created you in vain.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malechuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malechuto Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
We may be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בהם בשבתך, בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך, ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Sometimes things don't go, after all, from bad to worse. Some years Muscatel faces down the frost. Green thrives, crops don't fail. Sometimes a person aims high and all goes well. A people sometimes will step back from war, elect an honest person, decide they care enough that they can't leave some stranger poor. Some people become what they were born for. Sometimes our best efforts do not go amiss. Sometimes we do as we meant to. The sun will sometimes melt a field of sorrow that seems hard frozen. May it happen to you.
כמוך בהלים אדוני, לי, 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 לי. מי כמוך נדר בקודש, לי, 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 נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא.
The world has our hands, but the soul belongs to someone else. To set apart a day a week, a day on which we would not use the instruments so easily turned into weapons of destruction, a day for being with ourselves, a day on which we stop worshiping the idols of technical civilization, a day on which we use no money, a day of armistice in the economic struggle with our neighbors and with the forces of nature. Is there any institution that holds out a greater hope for human progress than this Shabbat?
מלכותך שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג עם מקדשי שבי עם מקדשי שבי כולם ישבעו ויתענגו ישבעו ויתענגו מדובך ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג חמדת ימים אותו קראת חמדת ימים אותו קראת זכר למעשה בראשית זכר למעשה בראשית ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג.
Our fathers and our mothers prayed, each through their own experience of God, each through their own visions, which we have come to share. Abraham, with the fervor of justice, pleaded the cause of cities. Sarah, in the pain of waiting, dared to hope for new life. Isaac, meditating alone in the field, lifted his eyes and found love. Rebekah asked for the ability to discern God's call. Jacob climbed the rungs of his night into heaven, seeking destiny. Leah dreamed of love, and Rachel sought harmony. We, as they, equally seek God's presence. We continue with our words of our tefillah. I invite us to rise as we are able.
Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufia gitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim ve'Koneh Hakol, ve'Zocher Chasdei Avot ve'Imahot, U'mevii Geula livnei v'neihem, Lema'an Shemo be'ahava. Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham be'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah, Rab le'hoshia, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem. Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech nofelim verofech olim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha Bal gevurot umido melach, melech meimit umechayeh umatzmiach Yeshua v'ne'eman atalachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim hoyom yahalalucha salah. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
We may be seated. For the blessings which you lavish upon us in forest and sea and mountain and meadow and rain and in sun, we thank you. For the blessings you implant within us joy and peace, meditation and laughter, we are grateful to you. For the blessings of friendship and love, of family and community, for the blessings we ask of you and those we cannot ask, for the blessings you bestow upon us openly and those you give us in secret. For all of these blessings, eternal God, we thank you and are grateful to you. For the blessings we recognize and for those we fail to recognize, for the traditions, for the blessings of our tradition and of our holy days, for the blessings of return and forgiveness, of memory, of vision, and of hope. For all these blessings which surround us on every side, O God, hear our thanks and accept our gratitude. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadecha be'yirah na'avod. Just as the hand held before the eye can hide the tallest mountain, so too can the routine of everyday life keep us from seeing the vast radiance and the secret wonders that fill the world. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. We offer our prayers for shalom, wholeness, peace, and contentment for all the members of our community, our family, across this very troubled world, especially those whose sense of shalom, wholeness, peace, and well-being has been disturbed, perhaps even shattered by the challenges that they have come across. May all who are facing threats and challenges to their shalom, their wholeness, their bodies, their minds, may they be blessed on a journey that will bring them to a refuah shlema, a return to the shalom that they seek, the wholeness that they desire. I invite you to share aloud the name of a loved one whom you'd like to bring into our prayers for peace, for wholeness, and for healing at this time. Baruch atah Adonai rofei hacholim. We praise you, O God, who helps us bring hope and healing to those in need. And let us say, Amen.
Berach Avotenu, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Berach Imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, Rachel. May the one our mothers. May the one who blessed our fathers hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Yisheberach Avoteinu Avraham Yitzchak Yaakov. Yisheberach Imoteinu Sarah Rivka Leah Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with a vision for tomorrow. Help us reach out to those in pain. May the warmth of friendship ease our sorrow. Give us courage, give us faith, show us the way. Misheberach Avoteinu, Misheberach Imoteinu. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well.
Surround me with stillness, tiny ripples spreading across the pond, touched by one finger of your hand, calmed by the warmth of your palm. Croon the wordless melody that fills my being with peace under the spreading tree of your affection. I will sit and meditate on the goodness you have brought, counting the happy moments like glistening beads strung to adorn my days. Light the shadowed corners with gentle glow to fill my being with peace. Drape about me the dappled sunlight of your teachings. Open my eyes to the search, clearing my heart of the small distractions. I might find the answers within myself. Blow the breeze of compassion upon my brow, breathing the sigh of peace. Let me rest. Let me rest by the water, probing gently for the sense of what I see, releasing my hurts to restore my spirit. Feeling you guide me toward a distant shore. We pause for a moment of silent meditation or such other prayer as the heart may prompt.
God, I pray that these things never end. The sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the human plea, the sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the human
Thank you, Cantor, for beautiful music and for bringing to us a very unique translation of Eli, the human plea, Tfilat Adam. Thank you. And Dr. Ray, as always, it is a pleasure to have you accompanying us on the Bima. Your musical skills are wonderful. I heard you playing the pipe organ tonight. Well done. Well done.
He knows how to do that.
Yes, I know. He even knows how to play it with his feet. You know, I watched him.
That's my day job.
Yeah. It is a terrific blessing for us. We are truly very gifted. David Youngman and Phil Carey, thank you very much for streaming our worship services out to the World Wide Web. I remember those days, www, always had to start everything with www. I think about all the time I wasted now with www. Don't need to do that anymore. On this Shabbat, in the shadow of what has occurred last Shabbat, and with all the news that has spilled out from that very horrific event, we are somewhat shaken in our sense of security. We live in modern times, yet people still choose to hold barbaric and unfounded beliefs about not only Jews, but about all minorities. Indeed, the increase in hatred against people of color, against immigrants, against Jews, has continued on an upward climb these past many years. It is terribly unsettling to recognize that here in the 21st century, we have to deal with ideas that come from the Dark Ages. We Jews were blamed for poisoning the wells during the bubonic plague that spread through Europe. Yes, Jews were dying, but not in as large of numbers as the Christian parts of Europe. Of course, Jews were a minority, so needless to say, we were going to be a smaller number of the deaths. But we also had a number of other silly habits, like washing our hands before we ate our meals, keeping grain stored in jars, and not having animals in and out of our houses. But that knowledge escaped the peasant mindset. And so a simple answer was sought. There must be something magical the Jews have done. Throughout the centuries, people have looked to find a simple answer to complex situations, and in the course of doing so have, unfortunately, cast many into the pit of death, all based on ignorance and hatred and superstition. This week, in this Shabbat, we commemorate the revelation on Mount Sinai. an event that was attended not only by the Israelites, but by the Erev Rav, the mixed multitude that left Egypt and cast their lot with the Israelites. We stood, according to Torah, there at Mount Sinai and perceived and heard truth in a way that had never before been expressed. Such very simple ideas. Do not murder. Such simple ideas contained within that revelation that are later spelled out in detail throughout our Torah. Do not murder, to our rabbis, would include do not hate another, because in so doing you are murdering the image of the Creator contained therein. Such simple ideas with such complex ideas that emerge from. It is hard to imagine that people can fill their hearts with such hatred and wallow and rejoice in their ignorance. This just seems so antithetical to what it means to be a human being. We are not robots programmed with a set definition of parameters, of code that does not allow for change. Look at all of the changes throughout our history that we have embraced as human beings. Imagine what would have happened to our ancestors when someone came to them with a stick on fire. If we had grabbed water and doused it and said, "Oh, no, that's dangerous. We have to keep doing it the way we've always been doing it. We must believe what we have always believed. We must teach what we have always been taught." That's what led us to the Dark Ages. And part of me fears that we are on the cusp of heading to such another dark age. We seem to relish our own opinions and elevate those opinions to the level of fact, that it impedes our ability as a race, as a human family, to progress. And that has been the only constant of our lives. Progress and change. Change is the only constant. And if you don't think so, just look to Sears and to Kodak. Sears, you recognize, was the Amazon of their day. And then they got invested in brick and mortar and totally forgot that they started as a mail order business. And so change has been the only constant. But it is obvious that there are those who fear change so much that they want to hold on to outdated and outmoded ideas. And on this weekend, when we commemorate the revelation of truth, it just seems such an odd juxtaposition. That on the one hand, we would have medieval thoughts mingling with 21st century technology. That we know how the universe works so much more than our ancestors ever could have imagined. That we know how the human body works so much more. And yet, there are those who would refuse to let go of those ideas. Oh, if only we could have another revelation like that of Mount Sinai, and all of humanity perceive the certain truths that connect us all together as human beings. The right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is what this nation was founded on. And yes, our founders had their issues too. But fortunately, we have grown from that time. I don't have the answer. None of us has the answers. But I know that as long as people choose to remain intransigent in their thought processes, as long as their minds are closed to new possibilities, new interpretations, we will be doomed to repeat history again and again and again. During our Passover Seder, we chastise and alienate the rebellious child with an absolutely un-Jewish response, I might add. Here, I take issue with our rabbis in their response to this rebellious child that we say to this child who says to you, that had you been there, you would not have known redemption, that you are now excluded from the people. I find that to be a very un-Jewish response. The reality is that both the wise child and the rebellious child use the same pronoun. The wise child, according to the Haggadah, asks, "What are the precepts and laws and commandments that the Eternal One, our God, has commanded you?" The wise child says, "You." The rebellious child says, "What is this ritual to you?" They both use the same pronoun. But the rebellious child, we smack upside the head. Here the rabbis got it wrong. The rebellious child is rebellious, but not because of the pronoun that is used, rather the verb. The wise child asks a question. The rebellious child says, "What is this to you?" You don't state a question, you ask a question. The reason the rebellious child is rebellious is because the rebellious child's mind is closed. It's already made up its mind. It already knows the answer. Don't confuse me with the facts. I know what I know. This is why the rebellious child is rebellious. And sadly, this is why we continue to have to deal with hatred and hostility against Jews and against minorities, because there are those out there who choose to close their minds to the ultimate reality. We are all connected. We are all related. There is only one race, the human race. And just because we come in different colors and speak different languages and have different beliefs, that makes us no more or no less human. And reflecting upon the creation of the first human being, the rabbis note, the Eternal One created all of humanity from a single human being. Why? For the sake of peace. To teach us all that none of us, no one of us can say that I am greater than you, that my way is better than yours, that my language is better than yours. No, because we all come from a common source. And as much as I would like there to be a revelation that would put that thought into the mind of all human beings, I know the world doesn't work that way. And so it's all the more important that we continue that very message to all of humanity. This is the gift of our Torah, what has become the Bible and the basis of the three monotheistic faiths of Islam, of Christianity, and of Judaism. These truths are contained therein. There will always be those who choose to hate. May we choose to be a source of light and a source of peace at a time when darkness is increasing. Shalom, everyone. We move to the conclusion of our worship service with the words of our Aleinu. I invite us to rise as we are able for our adoration.
שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד. ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד. ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד.
Our thoughts now turn to those who have departed this earth, those who live on in our hearts, in our memories, and in the place we call Olam Haba, the world to come. We call to mind those for whom we are observing the Shiva and Shloshim period, the 7 and 30 days since their death. Marvin Asnes, the friend of Ted and Terry Levoot, and Ralph Goldstein, the brother of Eddie Goldstein. And to the Goldstein and Levoot families, our hearts go out to you in the immediacy of the death of these friends and family members. To their names, we link the names of those whose yard sites have occurred during this past week. Ernest Diamond, Alvin Kaiser, Sophia Austin, Lizzie Doroshaw, Leslie Pascas Amador, Bessie Rosen, Irving Lair, Max David Light, Molly Richards, Marilyn Williger, Harry Franz, Leon Goldpaint, Molly Goldpaint, Helen Immer, Estelle Mann, Maurice Schindler, Morris Singer, Max Weinstein, Arlene Hope Kramer, Sarah Dipstra, Edith Richards, Betty Silber, David Diamond, William Diamond, Mary Lee Glick, Ben Zucker, Rose Fox, Ruth Bronstein, Ruth J. Burke, Edith Zaro, Lillian Gordon, Abraham Kaplan, Edna Schreier, Faye Schachter, Shirley Schmidt, Samuel Schwartz, Hyman Wine, and Joel Koniarski. To their names, we link the names of those for whom we are observing the Kaddish period: Ross B. Shear, Jenna Gordon, Doug Austin, Edith Chess, Berta Ursus, Ann Phillips, Malcolm Dipperstein, Mark Bornstein, Leah Levine, Vicky Emery, Sheldon Zinberg, Evelyn Levin, Gloria Austin, Dee Dee Ginter, Dorothy Bernard, Molly Shartoff, Erica Cherie Barnes, Kaylee Goldstein, Craig Wilford, Fred Fink, and Joyce Ulibari. If there's a loved one that you are remembering, I invite you to share that name aloud at this time. to those that we have named aloud and to those that we keep named in the quiet places of our hearts and memories. We link as well the names and memories of the men and women of our armed forces who have given their lives for our liberties and our freedoms, those who have given their lives for our safety here at home, members of our police, firefighters and other first responders, and the members of the Israeli Defense Forces who have given their lives for the hope of peace. To their names and memories, we link as well the over 850,000 Americans who have died from COVID-19, and sadly, just this past week, the 764 Americans who have died by gun violence. Zichronam levracha. May their memories be a blessing and inspire us to create a better world in our tomorrow as we sanctify their memories with the words of our Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabba, B'alma divrach hirutei v'amlich malchutei, B'chayechon v'yomechon u'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabba mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yatadar, v'yatalev, v'yatalal, Shemei d'Kudesha b'richu, Le'elam in kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbachata v'nechemata, Da'amiram be'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya, V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
May all of us who mourn and all of us who are bereaved, may we find through God's eternal presence a source of strength, courage, and hope, above all shalom, a source of peace, and let us say, Amen.
Amen.
We conclude our service with the singing of a prayer for our way. Not just our way today, but our way during this week ahead, our way in the days to come. May it be a way filled with peace and with wholeness. We conclude our service with the singing of Tefillat HaDerech, a prayer for our way.
May we be blessed as we go on our way. May we be guided in peace. May we be blessed with health and joy. May this be our blessing. Amen. 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 May this be our blessing. Amen. 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 May this be our blessing. Amen. By the wings of peace, may we be kept in safety and in love. May grace and compassion find their way to every soul. May this be our blessing. Amen. 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 May this be our blessing. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Good job.
Shabbat Shalom.
I never noticed that. They're good to you.
Nechama Leibowitz in her